You already know what it is, baby. We're back. Blazed The Canna Podcast, episode I don't remember. We got the Hyla guys here. We're going to start from this guy and we'll work our way around. Introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm James with Hyla, managing partner. Cheers.
Kurt Gore, Shango.
Yeah, and I'm Brian Ewer with Hyla as well.
So you're selling yourself short, bro.
Yeah, what do you do at
You're
Hyla?
selling you master extractionist.
So yeah, let me
I'm Hyla?
Fucking does it all, man.
let me tell you. So yeah, let me tell you a little bit of history on Hyla. First of all, Hyla, by definition, is a tree frog, hence the logo. That's how we came up with it. So a few years ago, when I learned distillate, learned about heads, manes, tails. So heads is your junk, manes is your usually for carts and shit. Your tails, we're like, what the fuck do we do with tails? Well, make some fucking edibles. So that's what we ended up doing.
Yeah, little frog molds.
So we had these fucking frog edibles, and
People get high off tails?
yeah, it's still like 65%. I mean, you don't want to get ready to buy
Explain
product.
what you mean by that. Because
By tails?
Yeah, I don't think everyone gets
Okay,
that's
yeah.
a real industry term.
Sure, yeah. So when you're pulling fractions, your first fraction is going to be all your volatiles. So it's going to be your
This is distillate. You're talking about the distillate process.
Distillate, whether it's for carts or edibles or whatever the fuck you want to make it for. Tail or your heads is going to be your bullshit fraction. That's the shit that you're just going to throw away, whatever, Your mains, that's going to be your high THC profile, your Delta 9. That's will get you high. So that's the shit we use for the carts. And then we're like, all right, what the fuck do we do with this these tails, this byproduct? So we're like, let's make some fucking edibles. We're not the first ones that ever did it. This is 5-6 years ago, but so we got these frog molds and started making these frog edibles out of our tails. And shit was hopping. No pun intended. No pun intended, but
Sure.
it's flying off the shelves. So James, my business partner, he comes to me. He's like, "Let's get this fucking weed business going." Shit's
So it's
hopping.
flying off the shelves. Where is it flying off the shelves at?
This is all caregiver.
So
back
stores,
about
though,
5,
or-
6.
or
No,
like
5,
just
6 years
local-
ago. This
local
is
buyers?
Yeah, my local people.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
I just like to clarify so people are like, wait, what shop? I want to know where I saw it at.
For sure, yeah. We all started somewhere, and caregiver is where I started,
Oh, we all started. I think in the caregiver. I mean, many people
We
started
all
before
didn't.
it.
We all didn't, but we should
Well, I
have.
think our first venture into branding for anyone that was doing branding. I don't think too many people were trying to establish cannabis brands before the caregiver market, because that would have been probably a guaranteed way to get extra police attention.
For sure. You weren't
Like,
allowed to
yeah,
make-
not only is that my weed, officer, that's my branded weed.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. That
And
doesn't
back
sound
then,
good
you
to
weren't
me.
allowed to make profit, technically, So
Right.
Oh, shit, back then you weren't allowed to do anything.
yeah. So it was tight, So we did most of our R&D, not making any money, just research and development, and came up with these frogs that were just pumping and knocking, jumping off the shelves, and then James and I were like, we talked about it for years. We're like, we got to start a weed business. So we go to a lot of brew festivals, we get to drinking, and we're like, man, we got to do this. Things were starting to lighten up 4 or 5 years ago, right? So place in Warren, we almost bought this place in Warren building.
Glad we didn't. The city's a mess.
Yeah, they're all fucked up over
Where do you
there.
guys operate out of currently?
So we're currently out of Shango. That's what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
We're doing
Okay.
all their processing for them.
Yeah.
So you're at the facility
Down on 8 Mile.
in Hazel
Hazel
Park,
Park,
Yeah,
right?
Hazel Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happening.
Just started this week.
Address
Took forever to get
your
You're doing
approval.
distillate there?
Distillate,
So-
concentrates. Basically whatever demand from their dispensaries and what the B2B market pulls
so
from us, we're gonna do.
we are going to make distillate, but we want our audience to tell us what we want, what they want. We don't want to make what we want. We want to make what they want. So I know how to, whether it's batter, shatter. I'd rather not make fucking shatter, but jams, whatever. Just high terpene profile shit. Not
So
just
what are the
distillate.
first products that we should expect to see from you guys? Have any
The
hit
first
the market
products
yet?
we just started on Monday.
Okay,
So we're about to hit the shelves. We got to go through all the procedures. So our first products are going to be distillate. We've always
Cartridges or what?
cartridges. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Through the Shango brand.
So they'll be packaged as Shango?
Yes. Yeah.
So they'll probably be at the Shango store?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
We got some Hyla carts out there too.
Yeah.
So we've got another partnership that we've been doing out in Kalamazoo with an outfit called Kalamazoo, Michigan Meds.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with
Yeah,
Kyle
yeah.
and the gang.
Yeah, Kyle's
one of my
a good
friends.
dude, man.
Shout out the homie. You
Yeah,
watch it, bro.
absolutely.
He just laced me up with some
Kyle
of their Jakua collab.
Yeah, they got some good stuff, man. It's going for premium prices on LeafLink, man. It's a good deal.
Oh, I did. You just gave it to me.
Their grower out there, Colin's he's a good grower.
Tell me though.
Anyway, so they're allowing us to be on their processing license. So we set up their C1D1 booth. We designed their C1D1 operation. We're still building it out at this point. And once they build it out, we're going to move in there too, and we're going to do Hyla brand exclusively out of Kalamazoo.
Out of the building next door to their dispo.
Yeah, they got a
It's
sweet building.
I was just there, literally.
Yeah,
2 days
Huge
ago.
ass place.
Yeah, blast-proof room for the C1D1 room, stuff like that. I mean, it was an old ink building or something, I think. So, I mean, dude, it's set up perfectly for it.
Yeah, so now they got that's like their own fucking private street. It's actually a real cool setup. So how far out's that project?
Man, I was saying 6 months ago.
Whatever we say, double it.
I mean, that's
You
the
know
way
how
it is.
Yeah,
Fucking
absolutely.
government
I just
shit.
always like to watch, look back and say, remember when this guy, we had him on here, he said 2 weeks?
Yeah,
Don't
no,
hold
I
us
mean,
to it, man.
of course.
Class
Working with
one
the
div
government.
one. Class 1 div 1's the hardest road in cannabis. I mean, it's the road that has the most regulations on it.
To elaborate.
In Michigan.
Solvents. Yeah,
In
sure.
Michigan.
Well,
it's
if you're
soon
in
to be
hemp, it's a little bit
nationwide.
different story.
Well,
It's
no,
a
I mean,
little
even
bit less,
in
but-
other states don't have the metric rules. They don't have the fucking bullshit Michigan has.
Sure.
So I just like to clarify that for a minute.
Soon to be.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, these are, when you're working with hydrocarbon, you,
Oh, for those type of regulations.
Yeah, that's
what
I
I'm
thought
talking
you
about.
meant like metric regulations.
No.
I was about to say,
No.
there's some
No.
states that,
I'm talking
not
about
gonna
class 1.
mess it up.
So, yeah.
I'm talking about class 1 div 1.
let's
using
explain that a little bit.
hydrocarbon
So
solvents.
C1D1 stands for Class 1 Division 1. It's dealing with high volatile solvents such as butane, propane.
Shit
and-
that makes you go boom.
Absolutely,
Right?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's make it
And,
simple.
backdoor guys, they've given us a bad name. They're blowing shit up.
It's not in your attic anymore. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, yeah. Should
these
you be
were-
extracting dangerous gases in a residential neighborhood? No, probably not, bro.
Absolutely.
But here's the
Probably a
thing,
little
though.
dangerous.
yeah.
But here's the thing: you can cook a steak on a grill with propane with fire. So what
Yeah.
the fuck?
Do you mix multiple gases with that?
Sure,
How many-
propane. You have mercaptans. You have all kinds of shit.
How many grills blow up a year?
Through
I don't know. I'm
You don't hear
asking
about
you.
them?
I don't know.
I
the stats
bet you
on
a
that.
lot,
I don't know
though.
the stats
Well,
on
I
that.
used
Yeah, I'm
charcoal,
curious. That's
so-
why I ask you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
a charcoal
I don't know
guy.
the stats.
And
I
how
host
ma-
a podcast. I just ask the questions.
Yeah,
I honestly don't
sure.
know those ones.
I don't know them either. Yeah.
Yeah, right on.
But all my point to saying that is it's probably relatively unsafe to extract in a neighborhood. I mean, most people aren't going to have a C1D1 room in their house. I would bet the stats on that are very slim.
I would
So no,
think so.
props to you for bringing it to a facility that's safe and doing it that way.
Yep.
Yeah, we
What's
take-
your favorite extraction to make? If like I know you said you're going to do what the industry wants or what people demand, but if it was your call, what would you make?
Me personally, I like the sugar crystal, like jam, applesauce, the high terpene profile.
Why?
Because I guess it retains like the natural state in that plant.
So when you smoke or you dab, what are you going for? Are you going for like the gas stuff? Or are you going
Yeah.
for fruit? What are you?
I like
going for
gas.
high terpene.
I like gas. I like high terpene gas. Some fruit shit. But I like the gas shit.
Would you rather dab or smoke?
I like smoking flower right now, but I go through stages.
How
But
about you?
Dab or smoke? I don't dab. Yeah, I get too fucked up off it, man. Like I'm just that dude in the corner, just like when I'm dabbing.
Have you
so-
dabbed?
A couple of times.
What do you prefer? Do you prefer gassy or fruit?
I like fruit flavors. There was a strain around a long time ago, Mikado, and it was that weed that you're walking through a concert at Pine Knob and you're like, oh damn, that's pineapple, citrusy, woo.
that haze, it was super haze.
That strain's gone, but
fucking smoke.
that's what I like really is the fruit.
What do you hope to see yourself release? Like, are you hoping that you guys put out a lot of live resins? I know you're going to go
Yeah.
off what the market wants, but what would you hope? I mean, I
Live
don't feel like
resin for
anyone
sure.
goes into seeing like, fuck, I want to put out a lot of carts. I mean, I did because I'm different, but I
Yeah.
feel like most people want to put out like the most pristine product.
Yeah, I like the live res.
Is that the goal?
We've always strived for the most pure product that we can possibly get.
We all got our own. I forget.
Me personally, I don't care what it is as long as people like it, and as long as the bottom line keeps growing, because that's really what's important. And if people like it, they'll buy it and they'll give you props for it, and that's cool by me, man.
How is Shango excited for this collab? What made
Oh,
Shango
absolutely.
reach out to Hyla? How did this relationship start?
So I ran into Brian and James about 4 years ago. So our organization also has a gas and extraction supply company within our head shop. And through
Bumblebee Extraction
Bumblebee
Supply.
Gas and Extraction Supply. So through my
So
daughter.
it's part of the Shango?
Nope.
That's a separate entity. That's you.
Kurt
yourself,
wears
right?
a million hats.
So-
He's
Yeah,
in-
well, that's why I'm trying to say
you.
it for people to understand, so people don't go, oh, Shango's a butane company
So
too.
Jay, here's the thing. So Kurt, if you grew up around here, you went to two places to get glass, paper, stuff. You went to the Plum Pit or you went to BDT's.
Grew up around where? Here?
Yeah, just here. So
Pontiac?
Brian and I are Rochester guys.
like Metro Detroit.
just-
area.
just-
I grew up in
generally, right?
Rouge, so I mean,
Yeah, right on.
But did you know BDTs?
I had seen the name, but I didn't really I hadn't been there. Where I was from, there wasn't Puff. I think Puff Factory might have been one of the first ones that came on.
Plump it.
But we had some just local stores that our gas stations, bro, in River Rouge sell weed. You know what I mean? Straight up, they sell wax.
Sure.
Just normal gas station. They don't sell gas, but they sell weed.
So we're talking back midnight, mid 80s.
Oh,
I
I'm
mean?
talking forever. This dude,
When
River
did
Rouge
you
didn't
start
grow.
BDTs?
Well, BDT started in 1973 with my brother-in-law, and then I joined in 1982.
The first time I'd heard of BDTs, I was working with a medical marijuana licensing place called THCF, or THC. Yeah, THCF, the Hemp and Cannabis Foundation.
Okay.
And they did events at the Roseville, is that right?
Could be. Yeah, we have a store in Roseville.
So they had a
yeah.
Roseville location that they would do events at. That's the only real reason I actually knew the name.
Yeah.
But they were one of the first ones that I remember, bro, to actually sell dab leaves. So glass pipes, I just feel like those were in gas stations, as far as I can remember as a kid, bro, even.
That's for tobacco.
But I'm from Rouge, so it was different. You know what I mean? In the suburbs, that shit didn't happen. I know
Right.
it did.
You also got a
So,
different definition of a kid too. When you were a kid,
Yeah, when I was a kid, I'm pushing 30 plus now, so I'm not
my
young
God.
no more. I just look young. It was a whole different world. You know that, bro. I'm sure anyone, I feel like 25 and up, it was a different world from when we all grew up.
Yeah.
But point being, the first thing I remember that you guys sold that no one else sold was they made these fucking wax rigs that you would put the wax inside of a little circle thing and you would heat it up. And you would hit it on one end, and it was the first wax pipe
Almost like
I
a
ever
pollen
seen.
collector, but
Yeah, it was for old school hash almost. And I remember I'd heat it, people would crack them. It was all kinds of crazy shit. You looked kind of crazy using it. It was kind of whoa, what's this motherfucker smoking?
Right.
But that was my remembrance of BDTs.
Yeah.
So
And
sorry, I didn't mean to go so far.
No, it's
That's
cool
cool, man.
because a lot of people always ask. They're like, "Well, what does BDT stand for?" I don't know. We're kind of getting off track a little bit, but BDT in its inception was the Buzz Bar, and the Buzz Bar was an opium den in Turkey.
Oh my
So that's in the 70s. That's
People
what
ask me what BDT stands for, and I can never
Buzz
answer.
bar.
So
now I can.
here's the other.
Bob, David, and Tom, bro.
No, it's actually
original owners.
It's
Bob,
actually
David, and Tom.
Bill and Denise and tobacco. So
I
were the closest.
shoot it in the dark and almost get it right.
You did, honest to God. So when it, in the 70s, cannabis was still somewhat acceptable to a certain extent. And
I know law enforcement extent.
well, the
Nixon
80s,
started
the 80s
pushing.
really.
Nixon and Reagan fucked
towards
it up
the end
for
of the
everybody.
70s.
Was it the 80s?
The 80s is
Nixon
when
and Reagan,
Operation
80s,
Headhunter, Operation Pipe Dreams that took Tommy Chung down.
Operation Head. That sounds real friendly, bro. That sounds like that reminds me of somebody really wanting to work with me.
Right,
motherfuckers
yeah.
talk about. That's what's so funny about
We think of you
when you
jobs.
look at government and policing and shit. Motherfuckers always want to sell people on rehabilitation. We're gonna get you ready to go back into society,
Yep.
and then name the project Headhunter. How many people will survive headshots? Bro, think about what you're calling the program. Yeah, we're gonna rehabilitate him with a shot to the head.
Right.
Oh yeah, he'll be good in the next life. Don't worry. Just
Gotta
stupid.
give him some
Well,
mushrooms.
continue on with your
and that's
crazy
what
ass
so
DEA shit.
So and that's
Bob,
actually
David, and Tom.
Operation Headhunter and Operation Pipe Dream is
Operation Buried Alive.
that's the program that took down Tommy Chong. I mean, we were BDTs, which then had evolved
Pennsylvania.
to Bill and Denise's tobacco shop, because in the 80s that was still somewhat tobacco was
So the
socially
war on
acceptable.
glass.
Yeah.
We'll take down the glass.
There's a war on everything.
There was, I mean, it was demonized for a long. I mean,
yeah.
technically, Kurt he's a pioneer of the industry. I mean,
Well, yeah, it's funny because a lot of the old heads, bro, always talked about that. Like when you first, like I think back, bro, when the all right, so funny story, bro. When I first got my medical marijuana card, or allegedly got my card, whatever you want to say, an old head, and the term old head meaning like the older generation. That's what we call them in Rouge.
Yep.
The old heads would always tell us, like, look, bro, you're really not that smart for getting that marijuana card. They're gonna put you on a list, and they're gonna come get everybody.
Heard that a million
and
times,
it was the
man.
same dudes that before this, though.
It's like the Jews getting tagged.
Bro, it's the
Man.
same dudes, though. This is what's funny. That would say, like, these guys selling glass, they're gonna come get them, and it was all because somebody, like you said, Tommy Chong, whoever it was, got in a lot of trouble over that.
He did.
And
He
it's
did
like,
jail time for that.
it's so funny, not funny. I'm sorry, it's sad, but like you look back and it's like you can't even help but be like, dude, what in the actual fuck was going on in America? And it's funny because if you think about it, in 20 years they'll probably look back at how cannabis was regulated now and say the same thing, like, bro, wasn't that shit like something you could grow in your backyard?
Right.
Like it's just gonna be funny to see.
And then that's how it's kind of evolved out west. I mean,
How could it be any looser than it is now? I mean,
Oh, it's gonna get a
This is
lot.
like
I mean, bro, honestly, what I always tell people on my lives is like,
can happen to
until,
you? Like-
and me and Sappo, big shout out Sappo Worldwide for always being the homie. I always tell people and Sappo said the same shit, until we can walk around and smoke these, like we can smoke joint. Bro, why can a motherfucker smoke a cigarette outside of a bar that like knowingly is gonna kill him and the motherfucker standing next to him? But I can't smoke a joint that, at worst case scenario, it's gonna make me hungry or give me a cough. It's definitely not gonna hurt the dude next to me, but it's not accepted. Like, it goes back to like the mind state and what we're put in to believe. Oh, you can go to
demonized.
Vegas, Cali, yeah, you can in certain places, but no, bro, go to like Salt Lake, Utah, or shitholes like that, and no disrespect to people there. Bro, they will string you up in front of the town.
Yeah,
and it's like, how can that be? Because if I did that with a cigarette and alcohol, I would just be the drunk that people kind of look at. But if I do it with weed, I'm actually like a criminal. Like, you're going to compare me to like
why,
people
Jay?
in jail. That's crazy, bro.
It's been demonized since the 1930s. Reefer badness.
Right,
you know?
you could look back at the whole reason back to the hemp and rope. And
For
it's
sure.
just sad,
Yeah,
though. It's
yeah.
like,
And
fuck,
that was
it's
corporate
just
back
sad.
then. We all know that. We watched the reefer madness shit, you know?
Yeah.
That's why
And-
we stay here instead of going someplace like in
Well,
bumfuck
bro,
Alabama.
I get in
no
arguments with
disrespect
people.
to Alabama.
Well, no, and
But
I get in arguments with
hear what
people.
you're saying,
I won't
man.
visit towns like that. Motherfuckers will be like,
Why?
oh, you won't come to Texas.
Why?
We got the dopest shit in Texas. Bro, I get caught in Texas, it's a wrap. Like,
They'll probably put you to death somehow.
bro, no, they won't, because I won't go there. I won't do none of that shit
It's
to me.
understandable.
They won't
I'm
do none of that
surprised,
to me.
though.
We
Texas.
travel on PJs, bro, and I wouldn't go there. Like, legitly, like, and I don't mean that like on some bragging shit. Like, I'm honest to God scared. I mean that on like, bro, Texas, Alabama. No, I'm all good on that.
Medical. They've
I don't
taken on
give a shit
medical.
until
I'm
they go
surprised,
back.
though.
Yeah,
I'm surprised.
but let's talk about that, bro. When a state took on medical, that doesn't always mean it. Look at New York. They still had numerous arrests when they had rec.
For sure.
I'm going to let that shit settle for a couple months after it happens, and then I'll coast into town. Just because, like, you, me, all of us have names for marijuana in another state, we are definitely the prime suspect if we go to those states.
For sure.
So I'm just going to chill on that. Places like Florida, I was scared to death, dude, to go to Florida until like a year ago. I feel like the governor there made a lot of steps forward for marijuana, allowed the program to develop. I mean, they held it back somewhat, but I don't feel like now when I'm there that if, the cops are just waiting to take me down, like, bro, Florida used to be a scary ass place.
Fuck yeah, my homie got busted with an ounce and they fucking acted like he was like fucking 20 pounds.
Probably still
Right,
can
I'm
be
just-
a dangerous
and,
place.
and it can. You go to the backwards towns in Florida, it is.
Panhandle
But you
of
go to
Florida,
like
fuck yeah.
Naples, these towns that have developed. Even Lee County can be iffy, but they're just, now it's like, bro, if you don't have like a ton, they're cool. You get caught with a couple ounces, yeah, it's still bad news for you, bro. But you got like an ounce or a pen or something, it's not gonna be like that. But 5 years ago, bye.
Yeah, and it's
Like
all
they
part
wanted
of
you
the-
to do time.
Those
Like,
are adaptations.
fucking crazy shit.
Adaptations to that. We went
Right.
through that back in 2008. I have a buddy who got busted by the fucking DEA for 56 plants. 56 fucking plants. Nothing else. That was it. Back in 2008, right before medical became legal. So within a month, he would have been fined for 56 plants, DEA.
Well, unfortunately, the stigma, overall the stigma, especially in the state of Michigan, the police don't want to prosecute. There's no public. The public is tired of people being persecuted too. And maybe it goes city by city. Like, for example, Hazel Park, they haven't had a cannabis arrest in like 3 years. Why? Because they know all their constituents. We got 8 provisioning centers now in Hazel Park. So... And hopefully the transition is going to just continue to happen throughout the state, and it's going to be less and less as the public perception and stigma lessens.
Michigan, excluding like Oakland County, had always been, I feel like, a little more lax. Not like saying they were great, but like compared to other places you look at, you look at places like Indiana, there's like, you don't fucking, you're done.
There's no medical, there is no...
Even Illinois was like a hard one to come on, bro. So I'm not like, we did it perfect here, but it's definitely better here than it is in a couple places.
Right.
That ass jammed up in Tennessee.
Yeah. Illinois, I think, is going to be the next big market because administratively the governor took on...
It is and it isn't, because when states set up programs that are too restrictive, you set up guaranteed flourishing black markets.
Yep. Yeah,
Illinois is a setup for flourishing black market. Like,
for sure.
If you look at, like, let's just compare states. Like, let's just go through them really fast. AZ has super lax rules.
Oh, absolutely.
That's set up for people to succeed. Like, people can say, oh, no, that's set up for criminal shit. Not really, because the tax dollars that are going to be made from every product goes back into the community of Arizona. So really, it's no matter, even if some questionable shit happened, it's still the state that's going to proceed because they're going to make money on the end sale. When you look at states like, I'm not dogging on Michigan, but when you look at states like Michigan and they add more and more restrictive rules to a metric program, they're not hurting, they're not hurting the black market by doing that. No. The fucking street people do not go, hey, bro, they said that this shit needs to be more tested. We gotta really fucking dial it in. Nobody does that. Yeah. So by doing that, they actually make it harder for licensees to compete. I'm not saying lax testing is the right way to go, but making super intensive rules about transport, about how much someone can buy, about the taxes, that fuels a black market or gray market, whatever you want to call it. So the real way to do that is to make it where it's accessible for the masses. So if the masses in your area can only afford to spend $50, what can you do to make it where they can spend that at a shop and everyone is able to eat? And that's the question that no one's been able to answer, because it's not an answerable question, because if you have huge overhead of employees, you have taxes, you have licensing, there's just fucking fees forever.
Well, as soon as 280E is abolished with the Safe Banking
Explain
Act.
What that is. So for people who don't know, explain what 280E is.
IRS 280E was put in the tax code probably in the late 70s, early 80s for the drug dealers, specifically in Miami.
So it's a section of the of your tax paperwork that the IRS requires you to fill out if you're selling marijuana?
Specifically, but it was put in because the cocaine dealers in Miami built the city of Miami. They built all these towers and everything in Miami off cocaine money. And then the federal government said, not allowed to launder that money in Miami. So 280, bam. So we can't write off our cost of goods sold. We get destroyed by taxes because of it.
Especially
I will give
PCs.
Michigan credit for one thing. There's only a 10% excise tax. And they've kept the state taxes at about a minimum as you can to generate revenue.
Michigan made huge strides because, like, we could talk about positive Michigan stuff. I wasn't trying to just point out negative stuff. I was just comparing markets. So Michigan, if you look at it in a striving, like making forward progress, has actually done a lot. Because think about, like, when you first watched Michigan do licensing, you had a group of 5 people that hated cannabis making calls on who was allowed to be licensed for cannabis.
We passed 5-0.
Shango.
5-0 on that board. They voted us in 5-0.
And and they did for certain people that they, no offense, liked, or people that had solid backgrounds. But people that had, small hiccups. I had friends that were legally in trouble when they were 14 years old, that got brought up. Like, that's crazy. My buddy, who's now 36, who got in trouble at 14 for fireworks is probably not a criminal. You know, for that to even be brought up is disgusting. That wouldn't have been brought up on a building license. That wouldn't have been brought up on any other fucking license. So my point where I'm going with this is actually funny. So Michigan started out with fucking no, yes, no. Now people are able to kind of flow through the process a lot easier. There's not a million no's.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you were
They
selling
changed
crack
regulations.
5 years ago and got convicted, you're not getting a license.
Yeah, they changed the regulations for sure.
But they made it where where more people are able to
You know why?
legally.
You know
which is
why?
a great thing.
When we went through
You know
the
why? Because
licensing
they
process,
needed the
they
people
called
from the
me.
traditional market.
State trooper called me.
They needed the.
Go, tell the story. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, bro.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
When we went through the licensing process for phase 1, the state trooper called me at like 7:45 in the morning. I was like, well, hello? And he asked me about something that I did in 1995. So I was like junior in high school in 1995. I think I got my car towed.
Yeah, we're old.
So let's
dude, he
break
asked me
this
about, like,
down,
hey,
bro.
what
Let's
happened?
break this down. How old are
Like-
you now?
43.
Okay, would you make half the decisions that you made back then now?
Fuck no.
Okay. Would you say that you don't
way.
have even anyone of the same thought process you had back then? Now.
I smoked weed, so yeah.
But I'm saying, would you say you
For the better.
behaved different than you do now? When you were 14, do you behave differently?
I think every 10
that was
years
16
you
when I had my
change.
car towed.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how in the hell would that even be relevant?
Yeah, no shit.
Like,
I
okay,
get
now
it.
maybe if you murdered somebody, bro, or hey, you were caught selling like fucking 5 ounces of heroin on school grounds, yeah, that might be, something we should talk about. But bro, we're talking about shit that is so irrelevant to marijuana and the question of your character that it's disgusting that it was even brought up. And it was only brought up because it was marijuana. And we have to get past where that doesn't happen, for me at least, to feel like the true achievements in life have happened. That's just, my opinion.
and
on it.
we are-
And I'm
we are
props to
though.
you for getting
Yeah.
a license, bro.
We
but
are,
that's
though.
crazy that they called you at 7:45, that was something they were worried about, dude.
So I got a better
Apparently.
story. I got a better
Yeah,
story.
apparently.
If I can interject. So
No, I don't know what to tell
Shango, the first time around, so five partners, 2 partners that actually were the founders of Shango, Brandon Rexroad and Shane McKee. So our first go around through the board of 5. Brandon has the same name as his father. We submitted documentation because his father with the same name had an issue. So they addressed that, Don Bailey. Total disrespect towards Don Bailey, by the way. He's an asshole.
Nice.
They speak freely on here, baby.
And every license
Tell 'em
that
how you
came
really
up-
feel.
No. So, okay, but here's the kicker. Okay, so we already knew Don Bailey was going to be an asshole and he was going to say no. So he brought up the Gary Rexroad and the whatever he had to say.
Tell them how you really feel.
So one of our other partners had fishing tickets, multiple having too many fish in his boat. They brought it up and denied our license based on the fishing tickets, and then also Brandon Rexroad's father doing something where we submitted paperwork. So
Hey,
that's the
G.
kind of shit that went on.
I think he's definitely a criminal. Oh yeah. We need to definitely call and get this Shango license taken out, because this guy is known to do dangerous shit in fishing.
You know what that equates to? Too many fish in the boat means too many joints in the packages that aren't tracked by the metric system and all that other stuff that falls. Because that's the kind of thinking that they had. That's the thinking that they had.
Wow.
If you have a propensity for putting too many fish in the boat, you have
I hope
too
you
many.
zoom in on my face expression. for
The
this stupid
crossovers,
shit.
yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of thought process they had because they didn't understand cannabis. So that was the first.
Oh, so you mean we've got people that don't understand cannabis making cannabis decisions?
Absolutely. Because the law was always right prior to, 2008. They knew that things were bad. We could go through that whole discussion that took place since, the 30s, 40s about why cannabis was terrible for the community. But fortunately, the second go around, we actually had to hire the former Lara attorney, Shelley Egerton, who props to Shelley, who did a great job, that was able to communicate with Andrew Brisboe and the whole group at the Marijuana Licensing and Regulatory Agency to get us our license. But it costed us 6 months and another $30,000 worth of licensing attorney fees to finally get our license.
You know the MRA has an Instagram.
I didn't know that.
They're verified
Oh.
and they follow only one dispo.
Seriously?
I know a lot about the internet.
Which
Motor
is-
City Kush is the only dispo they follow, which is closed.
I was going to say that was
Really?
closed. That's
It's the
right.
only
That's
one
right
they
there.
follow.
Yeah.
Like you would think they would
Right.
follow
Right.
all the dispos and like
Yeah.
cannabis shit. Nah, they follow like the governor and like 3 other people, and then randomly Motor City. I always joke
didn't
with
know that,
I
man.
joke with one of my friends who worked there. I'm like, bro, if I ever run into the MRA person, I'm like, I would tell them to follow my
them
page,
out.
but I'm like, I don't really actually want them to. I was like, but it's kind of funny that they don't follow like the cannabis people. Like, dude, if I worked for the state, I would be like, let's follow the dispos. Like, clearly that's my job, but guess not.
Well, I tell you what, they follow everyone else because when we launched the Tommy Chong brand, we did a press release.
Well, yeah, they're cracking down. The rumor is
Yeah.
on
On
brand
lo-
deals that
brand
aren't
deal
approved, but they
licensing,
haven't
yeah.
approved any. So just so you know, they're cracking down on branding deals, but they haven't approved any.
Wait a second. So the state gets to authorize what brands you can
So
bring
you
in
have
and
to
what you
submit a
can't?
branding deal to the state. So say I'm the licensee holder and Hyla wants to come fuck with me, you have to submit paperwork. And you're supposed to wait till it gets
You have
approved,
to-
supposedly,
you're fucking
but they
joking.
haven't
Are you
approved
kidding
any.
me?
Oh, no, absolutely
Oh,
not.
bro,
Yeah.
no, absolutely.
Yeah, we have
Mr.
an
Shango,
Yeah,
administrative-
correct?
let's,
we have
let's
an
get right in the middle of a
administrative-
private business deal.
Well, no,
Yeah,
because
great.
it's back. What they're trying to do is eliminate the straw man from a relationship. So if you have a licensing or branding deal
Yeah.
with an organization, they want to make sure that that licensing deal is legit. Just like the Tommy Chong relationship with MKX. MKX can't be larger than 10% in the licensing deal. Otherwise, they're considered a managing entity of that organization. So. Anything
Yeah, but
less,
that becomes a real weird situation because there's a lot of argumentable parts to that. Because, bro, all right, let's play a hypothetical game, right? All right, I jump online, okay? I buy baby love packaging, right? I load all my wax in that and I sell it. Now, Baby Love Packaging decides he's going to charge me $19 for that packaging. I don't give a shit. I want to pay it.
Right.
Am I allowed to make that call? And if so, I'm buying packaging from him, and you know where he's
Right.
at? He's in China.
Sure.
So he sure as hell can't be
Yep.
on my license because he doesn't even know what it is he's selling to me. Honestly, bro,
Yep.
he thinks he doesn't know what he's doing.
Yep.
So how does that work?
And that's part of the quagmire that the MRA or MMRA or MERTMA, everybody's got to figure out. How does that relate to the licensing deals? And like you said,
You
yes,
know those guys,
who's that?
the state people.
Oh, my wife's the attorney for the company. I mean, we deal
I
with
would
them
like
on
you to do me a
regular-
massive favor.
Regular.
Let's invite them
Here
to a
it comes.
podcast.
Oh, there it is.
Not
There
here.
it is.
Not
folks.
here.
Yes.
I want that
there
stress
it
that
is.
not here. But let's do a podcast at like a
Challenge you to a
hotel. I'll
debate.
rent it,
Absolutely.
and let's
In a
actually talk to them
garage.
about like topics. And I'm not gonna blaze them. I promise I would
No.
never do that. They got to let me smoke a vape pen because people will be like, "Bro, you got to be able to smoke." But let's do that with them.
No.
You, me, and the state people that you can get. And I can even give them the questions ahead of time. That way they don't feel like I'm going to blindside them.
I think that
and
would
I
be
think
great.
that would be awesome and a lot of fun.
to have. And I think they're more receptive to doing that now.
no way
because,
they would do that.
Oh, I
Really?
I think they would. I think
You
they
think that they're man?
I absolutely do.
No, they want-
If
I was
we
smart.
will
Yeah,
give them the
relationship.
questions prior and agree not to go off those questions, yes, I do. If I wouldn't do that, fuck no, they're not. They're not going to
sure,
let you
for
come
sure.
on and be
Yeah,
like,
no.
watch this.
Well, and it,
they're
does,
not
it
gonna do that.
actually helps them clarify a lot of the
Yeah,
points
why
that people
would they
have
not?
out there. I mean, if you have cultivators,
Get
processors,
tripped up somehow by
dispensers-
someone like you,
like
you know?
they,
I mean, it's-
and like I'm going to stress to them, or I'm sure he will, every dispo in the state's going to see it. So you're going to answer a lot of questions for a lot of people. And we'll keep it professional so they can put it out as an informational answer. Bro, we don't have to have none of the stuff on the table. Like it literally can be a question and answer. Because I want to help my shop friends, you guys, the growers and processors, like
Thank you.
let's get this stuff answered or
for
see
sure.
where they stand. And if they're not thinking about it, let's try to get them to see it from our standpoint and maybe like have them understand like we put money in their pocket. When you help us compete with the black market or the gray market, and we're not asking you to go and arrest them, we're asking you to just let us do stuff that should be normally and allowed. Everyone's happy. Why not allow it?
I think they would be very receptive to that because the next big issue coming up in Michigan is the delivery services. I mean, that's the next big battle. Ease, Joyology, MDOT, Lantern. That's the next big fight that's coming up in Michigan. And I see
Just explain what you mean, because I'm sure 90% of the people don't know what you're talking
So
about.
you see the Ease billboards everywhere now.
Okay.
Ease operates in one state in the country. That's California. They're trying to get their delivery services into Michigan. To deliver To deliver cannabis, you have to be an employee of a provisioning center, a retail store. So Ease, to the best of my knowledge, and I put that disclaimer on there, has tried to.
So how much can a delivery driver have?
$3,000
right now.
Of product.
So who decides what $3,000? Is that based on wholesale or based on retail
price,
value?
Retail price, and leaving the provisioning center. And I don't know if you've heard this.
Is that an insurance deal? Is that an insurance liability?
I think it's more the the Michigan Marijuana Regulatory Agency with the adult use. So it's $3,000, and it's based on. They've used this analogy. Right now, we have the pizza delivery model, where your driver goes out with one pizza, he delivers it, he goes back. Okay. In some scenarios, they want to create a delivery license where you can act like a ice cream truck model. So you're leaving the retail center loaded up with all types of product, and then you're getting calls. Come bring this to me. Come bring this to me. Mm-hmm. And that's not what a lot of the retailers have structured their business model on.
That's the way it should be done.
If that happens, we better have nice dreams.
Right, the ice cream truck. Yes,
you can make it happen. Let's do it.
But it's all part of. We built a business model and we're approved. We were approved on a certain model, and now everything's getting changed up. So,
what would the trucks look like? Green
ice cream truck.
An ice cream truck. Yeah. Half ounce of this, quarter of that, some pre-rolls.
They'd be getting robbed. We'd be getting robbed left and right, man. People, there's a fucking
that could be the next big battle. But I love your idea of bringing. I really think you could get somebody on your show. I think they would be willing to do that under some ground rules. I think they would love to do that, and I think clarifying it for not only all your viewers, I think
come out there and be a referee, bro. I'm not going to roast them. You know them. I'll host it gladly.
Kurt knows
everybody. And we'll fill out some paperwork ahead of time, and we'll make it happen.
I think you should.
We'll post a lot of info, and we'll get it out to everyone.
Okay. All right. My wife, Tracy Gore, the attorney, you're in charge of that. Contact your people at the MRA. I love it. Contact the people at the MRA and discuss with them how we can get them in.
Do you know the MCMA people also?
I do. We met with the MCMA people when
I would like you to extend an open invite to whatever his name is, the guy who goes and does their interviews.
So
Steve Lindon, is that how you say it?
Steve Linder.
I would like you to extend an open invite to the Blazed The Canna Podcast with this gentleman, another one that I'll probably do off-site at a place, or maybe we'll do it here, but I'd like you to invite him. Again, I will submit a question log. I do not plan to insult him or do anything. I want to ask simple questions that I feel a lot of people would like to know. And I feel it'd be a great time for him to explain where the MCA really stands versus where people currently believe they stand.
Right. And I think, and again, disclaimer on my behalf, we met with the MCMA and we believe that wasn't for us.
Shango has no part of that.
Absolutely
we can say that right now. Shango is zero part of that. Hyla is zero part of that. Fuego is zero part of that. We've never fucked with them. We've never even met them. But as you said, you may have met them, but you chose absolutely not for you. We just never fucked with them ever.
Yep. So, and obviously this week, Randy Bachman and Pleasantries resigned their membership, and
we're no part of that.
Yeah. So
shout out to the Cloud King, homie. I mean, I'm happy to see
that would be whether Steve Linder or not would take this invitation. I don't know. He's kind of hiding in the shadows and having all of these other people.
Well, that's a great time or have anyone from that group that wants to come speak on behalf of that group is more than invited here. And like I said, I don't bring people out and roast them, even people I don't like.
Mike Elias with Common Citizen. I mean, I think he's the next. They're part of the MCMA.
Bring your ass on out here.
I think you should. I think to define their status in the market and how they feel their positions could help the market. Again, the invitation's coming from this man. I'm just mentioning names of people that I've spoken with.
Inviting them. 100 million%. Me.
So I'll do what I can. I'll try to work my measure.
There will not be any hostility. There will not be any name calling there. I will have the list submitted to them. If there's questions they can't have asked, we'll treat it just like a Congress meeting. They can literally tell me no, and we'll move the hell on, or we won't even ask it. No, I don't. I'm not an asshole. I mean, I get why they don't want to go on certain podcasts and do it. I get it. It won't happen here.
Speak for the people.
Yeah, well, here on 59 minutes. No, I'm just kidding. we try to have a good dialogue. You like that one?
I do.
So continuing on, Hyla, what is next? Like, what do we see next from you guys? When is the drop at Shango happen? What's going on? Fill us in on that. We went so far off track, which was awesome. Reminds me like a Rogan podcast.
Love it.
It's cool with me.
Shango's going to be at least a month out before we drop, just because of.
Is it a big drop? Is it just carts? Is it wax? Like, what comes? Bro?
Yeah, so first batch is just going to be carts.
I mean,
Yeah.
Okay.
that's what they want to do. They want to get those carts in the
Everybody does
dispensaries.
carts, man. That's an extra flower. That's your number one selling item in a dispo. So when you look at it from what's needed in
grind
the
it
market,
out.
that's what it is.
Yeah, so we're in the market for some fresh frozen, some
we all?
preferably indoor fresh frozen.
Oh, you don't want some outdoor, huh?
No, especially from like 2 years ago or whatever.
I know just the people to call if you did.
Couple $100
I
a
think we
pound,
all
we'll take it. But we'll figure out what to do with it. Hey, $200 a pound,
Yeah,
all the outdoor you can give us.
and a great plug for
No,
these guys.
I'll take it. No, I'm just kidding.
A great plug for these guys. I mean, with Shango, I
Give it
mean,
to
bringing
us.
them in
We'll
and
blast
then
that
looking
shit
at
all day long.
what we're going to do beyond the carts. I mean, and this is where these guys are at. I mean, beyond the carts. What?
Yeah, we want to show our talent.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Well, that's what I was asking.
Yep.
How long till the talent showing comes?
Got to find some quality
got-
biomass
yeah,
out there.
yeah.
That's really
We're
what it is.
starting. We're
Good
starting
in,
to
good
see
out.
better bio.
I've been trying to buy as much as possible, bro.
good-
So
good
I
in,
hear
good
you.
out,
I'm
man.
literally always like,
We're starting to see
something?
better growers
Yeah.
out there, though.
Yeah.
It took a minute to kind of catch up, but we're starting to see that. So we're hoping to have some nice products to put out there.
Yeah, the Woods out in Kalamazoo, they're fucking premium growers. Those guys are really good. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some good growers in Memphis. Shout out Skunk Works, by the way. And
Yeah.
shout out the homie High Tech for lacing me with good weed, and the refinery for holding it down for me.
For sure.
Those are all the homies. I recommend you guys check them out. Besides Shango, of course.
Fair enough.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
So,
Working
will
on
we
some
see you guys,
solventless.
Will we see you guys enter the Cannabis Cup next year?
Sure. I mean, if it's
Cannabis Cup?
Yeah, so
They still do that?
Yeah, they had a virtual
Really?
cup this year. I actually
Ah.
wound up getting a judge kit. Man, I feel like every time I say this shit, I had to shout someone out. Shout out House of Dank for always making sure I got cool shit.
sure.
The flower judge kit this year had some cool shit in it. My favorite would probably be the pressure packs. I don't know, the runts in it was fire. Local grows entries are pretty good. I smoked a little bit from Green. Is it Green Koi? Am I saying it right, Garrett? Green Koi? Green Koi.
Koi.
I always say this shit
Yeah.
wrong, bro. I be like talking to their bud tenders and they're like, no, bro, it's not that.
I think I've seen those guys in vape shops.
So they're in Douglas.
D8.
They're actually a dispo in Douglas. There's like nobody around them.
Yeah?
I think New Standard's coming to town though. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. So what else is new, man? What else is coming? You said
mean-
solventless. How far out? How far out is good wax? Like, let's
So,
presumably pretend you find a contract. Can people expect 60 days to see it at Shango?
Yeah,
Like, let's
I'd
get
say
people
so.
excited, man.
I'd say so. Yeah, even 45 maybe. It all depends on what we can find out there right now in metric and what we can get, like quality biomass. I mean, not going to go in for something that's garbage just to try to get some fucking wax out there. We're trying.
The other thing with solventless is you can't filter out the mycotoxins like you can with hydrocarbons. So you're going to run into that
Big
problem
problem.
as well, So
Yep.
it's kind of a catch-22.
You can't remediate. What are you going to remediate it to? You get a bunch of.
Well, I'm sure you don't want to be selling remediated shit anyway.
Absolutely not.
You know what I
No.
mean?
But I mean, there's nowhere you can go with it.
So let's ask you guys a couple of just random questions, bro,
Yeah.
that I know a lot of people talk about. What's your thoughts on CRC? Will we see it from you guys at all? Is it not happening? Are you for it? You think it's fucked up? Like, what's your thoughts on it?
I like CRC to a certain extent. I don't want to overdo it because.
So you feel you feel there's benefits to it?
Absolutely, yeah.
What do you see as the
So,
benefits to it?
Dread Pirate, shout out to him.
Yeah, right
He's-
on.
he's
We
homie
brought
of
that.
mine.
We
Talked
brought
to him
that
a couple-
cat in here before
Yeah.
COVID.
What's his name?
Dread Pirate.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, Dread Pirate.
the
Yeah.
Dread Pirate.
So him and Murphy, we've before the COVID hit, we've set up some CRC classes. We did one with Dread, but we were going to do one with Murphy.
Those are
Murray.
straight up GLG connects.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And
Shout out
good old
Future,
Lift
bro.
gang.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
fuck yeah.
Shout out
Where you at,
Future,
Future?
bro.
Come on.
Yeah.
You got to come on this podcast in person. Then we'll go bass fishing,
Let's
man.
make that happen.
I
bro.
got some
Future's
great
the
bass
homie.
spots.
Future, bring me some more of them craft beers.
For real.
Future's
We,
the
I don't know. Michigan's got great craft beers as well.
Nah, Future's got the craft beers on lock. He got the
I know.
crazy.
I see
turf
him. I
ones.
see him.
Actually, shout out Jake, our processor. He been lacing me with all the 450 Brewing ones.
For sure.
So I've been drinking a bunch of them. They're pretty good.
Well, they're popular right now.
They are. So continue on.
So, CRC is basically refinement. If you want to further refine your crude or whatever.
So
you
when
want to call
somebody
it,
says, "Fucking CRC tastes all the same," is that true or is that not
does.
true?
Yes.
He done
If
fucked
you-
that
if
one
you-
up already.
Yes.
You gonna
No,
argue
no.
with your man?
for sure.
He says for sure. All right. How does it?
You can't deny it. But
It's over refinement, and because we're talking about nonpolar and polar compounds. So by nature, THC is a nonpolar compound, and you're dealing with polar compounds to pull out the the unwanted. So with that, you're also going to retain some of the terpenes that stay along with that. So you will lose terpene profile. So you can. There's a threshold for everything. Is my point.
So there could be good CRC in your opinion.
Absolutely. Look at Murphy Murray.
Does it look
Just killing
white or is it not white?
We've done some refinement that has pure clarity and has some fire ass terpene profile to it as well.
When it tastes like filter, why is that?
thank you.
Because you're retaining those certain terpene profiles that are going through and not getting picked up with your media.
I'm a buyer
and
at a
absorbed.
I'm a buyer at a dispensary.
Mm-hmm.
Your product is CRC. How do I know that it's not going to taste that way? Not your product, any product.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way you can look at a CRC product by smell, anything that you can tell somebody who's watching who doesn't buy CRC because they go, that shit tastes like fucking filter? What can they look at to not feel like it tastes like fucking filter? Can they smell something? Like I'm asking because a lot of people
sure,
won't
No,
buy.
I understand.
What shit is this?
So
Oh, this is Zookies. That's a THCA. I'm gonna roll some of this in the joint. Continue on.
So a lot of times the lemonine smell will come through with that, so it'll have that same like lemonine, maybe pining flavor to it, smell to it, and that's a high indicator. So of over refinement. So
So if they smell that, it's bad news, bear.
in my opinion,
Okay. Hey, take wise to that, because if my man says it's worth trying, it maybe worth trying.
I mean I've been doing extracting for quite a while, so.
Has CRC been around a while and people just
So-
didn't realize it?
All right. Here's the interesting fact about CRC
years.
is it's a crossover from chromatography. So I made distillate back 5-6 years ago. We had to do chromatography to remediate all the bullshit that people were giving us. So people were spraying their shit with microbutanol, the Eagle and whatnot, and so we had to remediate that shit. Well, because of Future 4200. We learned how to do that, So chromatography has been around for a long time. Now, somebody thought in their mind, we're going to keep that in a single solvent solution. We're going to keep it in a solution, and we're going to use a media and wash it through there to remediate the unwanteds from there and collect our wanteds in our collection pot. So that's where CRC essentially came from.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Very.
and Murphy Murray has got it down to chromatography as far as
Can CRC be done on solventless?
I don't. If somebody figures out a way, let me know because I'd fucking love to know.
That's a great question.
It's been sleepless nights trying to figure that out. But how you gonna do it?
Same question to you, not the CRC is solventless. Your thoughts on CRC? Explain them, please. Don't just say that it sucks or it's awesome.
He doesn't fucking dab.
Great
so.
setup.
No, but he can have thoughts on the part of it. He's part of the group. He
I think
takes part in
CRC is
extractions.
a great way to make pure product. And then if you find good canna terps or naturally distilled botanical terps and you add them back into it, it could be a good product and wouldn't taste like a filter, as you said.
On the storefront location, do you see people asking if it's CRC now? Has that begun to happen?
Not that I'm aware of. But the talk about solventless and now cannabis-derived terpenes, those are terms that are really starting to be asked on a daily basis.
The live resin
yeah.
carts. That's what I want. That's the only cart I'll smoke is the live resin cart.
Do people ask that in the store now? Are they beginning to know a difference?
I think they are. Yeah, especially the solventless, because everybody's now understanding that a lot of these products have flammable gases and other products used in refines. And
So
Do
let
you
me-
feel a majority of adult use buyers don't understand the process in a vape cart and wax?
90% of them don't.
Don't
I mean,
understand it.
Every time we take anybody that has never seen the inside of a processing facility, they are absolutely blown away.
Would you
Yeah.
agree with that?
I would like to debunk this myth.
Would you agree with that?
I'm sorry, I didn't repeat that. 'cause-
When they go into a processing facility, they're
90% of people, adult use consumers, don't know the process in which these products are made. Would you agree with that statement?
I would 100% agree with that. And here, solventless and all these other these are marketing terms. Because in my
But
world,
But hold on, time out. If they're marketing terms, we just said on the same note, not to argue with you, but we just said they don't understand what the process. So isn't solventless essentially describing the process?
well, don't you think when you say solvent, don't you think of bad things? You know that you
I
wouldn't
mean,
want to smoke.
I feel like I couldn't really answer the question only because I spend my whole life doing cannabis, so it's not really fair to ask me.
Sure.
What do you think when you think solvent? Does that make you think that?
I think you better get it all out of the product before I dab it.
B, what do you think when you hear solvent? If
Solvent.
someone said B, this product's made with solvent, would you be nervous? Would you be, ma'am? Would you be? Would you be? Tiff, would you be? So actually, okay, so a majority, yeah. I was trying to get a group consensus.
No.
So yeah.
So essentially, these are marketing terms that they're using. In licensed facilities, in the PCs, when you smoke a vape cart, these are below detectable levels. That is, when you're using solventless, when you extract solventless, if it's water, that's technically a solvent. So terpenes are a solvent. So where do you define that line? It's just market terms.
But I think a lot of times and Jay brought up a great point. I mean, you haven't heard that solventless, and it is a term that's being used, and it explains kind of what it is.
It makes it easier to sell
It-
solventless
so-
if you explain that the one is made with solvent. But if you were to not disclose that, I don't. In my opinion, I don't always feel that the one that's made without butane, propane, whatever the hell it is better, at least in a taste aspect or effect aspect, than solventless.
Sure.
And everyone's different. I know we got people upstairs right now that'll only smoke solventless. They're like, if they even fucking said it has butane, they're just out. But I know other people that are upstairs that are fucking scientists that'll smoke both. Because in a sense, with the state's testing, the product's safe, correct?
The solventless side or the
Either one.
Either
Oh,
one.
they
Either
better.
one.
Yeah, they have to
Testing.
pass testing. Absolutely.
Right, and the
Yeah.
state set these levels on what they believe should be safe for your consumption, correct?
Absolutely.
So I'm just
No.
trying to debunk the fear that one may be bad for you. We don't maybe know the effects of both of them because it hasn't been around long enough, but we shouldn't think, when we go into the store, that one might be dangerous for us. I just don't want to create a doubt in someone's mind.
And you define that
and
so
you should
correctly.
not.
Yeah.
I mean, there should not be a doubt in people's mind because it's below detectable levels that, marijuana in Michigan is set at this high precedent, like above your fruits and vegetables.
I was about to go right there. Because the foods you're eating can be extracted
Exactly.
and made very similar.
This is Future 4200 and I. This is why we get along so well, is because we see eye to eye on a lot of things. But so for some reason, Michigan wants to set this pedestal of marijuana against everything else when your fruits and vegetables can be fucking bullshit. Our food industry is fucking bullshit. So. But yet we set marijuana on this high pedestal. It's got to pass these high procedures and no mycotoxins and this and that. And yet we can smoke a cigarette, we can drink beer, and we can do that,
And that actually was if I may interrupt, that was one of the big arguments with the MCMA against caregivers is that they're not tested under the same standards as licensed facilities.
Well, that's totally uncomparable.
Right, because
Right,
but they said, the argument back from all the caregivers, a lot of people, this is a plant that's grown naturally for decades, and that all our friends have been smoking ever since, and how many people have gotten sick and died and everything else, and to a certain extent, that...
Yeah, but if I want to grow my fucking tomatoes in my backyard, bro, I don't get held to the same standard as, the massive guy with the field. You know what I mean? We're not in the same playing field.
Yeah.
So that, to me, that's just crazy comparison
Just
when
don't
they
use
did that.
pesticides.
And I agree, and they should.
Well,
If
if we're going to go to the rules, it's not supposed to be getting sold. It's only supposed to go to your patient. And you're right. Why would you want to give somebody who's sick some shit that might make them sicker?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So,
a minus and minus does equal a plus.
it doesn't matter if you're really
Right.
doing it for the reason you're supposed to. If we're looking at this for the why you're supposed to,
Absolutely.
book,
No question about it.
I mean, that's a
Absolutely no
real
question
hard
about
way
it.
to argue that. Like, oh yeah, I got to yield an extra pound by adding this fucking steroid to it. Well,
yeah.
that extra pound, did it benefit your person?
Yeah,
I mean, you could
PGRs
argue, yes, he got more
Yeah.
medicine, but if he didn't get the more medicine and it didn't end up in his hands, really you sacrificed his quality for your pocket, which is
Right.
exactly what they don't want. So then you start arguing from the other end, at least in my opinion. Everyone's entitled to that.
I think you're right on that, because one of the arguments was started actually by somebody that owned a hydroponic store and said, listen, you caregivers are putting all these chemicals
And like my
on your
man-
and then they came back and said, well, you're selling us those chemicals. So I mean, at the end of the day, it's
Hey, and if you were to shut down the caregiver program, this was a great argument someone made in my live that I love. Bro, where do the hydro stores go from there?
gone.
What are all the employees of there
Yeah.
go? All the nutrients? Like, there's so much of an actual chain and effect that people don't look at. It's just easier to say, let's just get rid of it. People don't want to, break it down.
Great point.
For sure.
Great
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
So.
It's like the D8 market. I mean, there's a lot of people got a lot of money invested in the D8 market.
Yeah, and that's going to be interesting to
just
see
make
how
good
it goes.
D8 and put out good product, and
Well, there's
everything should be
controversy
fine.
to that because people know what can be done with D8. You know what I mean? There's a lot to that equation. And I'm not saying D8 or CBD or any of that should be banned, but there's two arguments to that story, of course, too, because
feel you on
what are
that.
you making it for? You're making it for the gas stations to sell it? Okay, so you're a for-profit company. So
Okay.
why would you not have some type of regulations to you?
Well, if there has to be regulation, I mean, just put out good product, and that.
Well, there has to be
Everything should-
regulations
everything
to
should be
any
okay.
market, or the market falls apart, essentially. Unless it's just a caregiver market where you're just taking care of a designated amount of people to help their medical health. Then you're right. There doesn't need to be regulations on that
But we're
because
talking about a
you're
CBD
caregiver.
product, though.
Yeah.
Right. But what are you making it for? Are you making it to distribute on a large national scale?
I mean, you can do it either for that or be a local brand.
So there
What
should
would
be
that
no,
matter,
so-
though, because
but there
it's
should be no
regulated.
regulation to that then?
Well, no, actually, you should at least have to not use pesticides and.
So there should be
herbicides.
regulation to
Yeah,
that.
but not strict because it comes from hemp.
No one
And,
said
like,
strict.
hemp is
no one said
hemp
the
is
same
under
regulation, but to say there should
it
be
should
no
comply
regulation.
with the regulations of hemp.
Okay. So
Like
there should
the
still be
farm bill, like
regulation.
Delta 8 should comply with the regulations
we've
of hemp.
learned to convert things into certain things.
Oh, I'm not saying people should be punished for that. I'm just saying that there has to be a set, a program to that. I'm not saying there should be bills put in to not allow it to be sold at gas stations. I'm saying there should be a program that's put in, taxes paid, it goes in.
You shouldn't be able to. Yeah, absolutely.
That's all I'm saying.
If you're a legitimate business,
Yeah, because
that's
if I'm
absolutely-
going to be able to sell, let's say I'm going to make $5 million, right? I'm selling CBD.
Yeah.
Why would I not be able to pay some sort of taxes to help out in the state that I'm producing it in?
You should.
That's all I'm
you
saying.
You should operate
I'm
as
not
a
saying
legitimate
that
business.
people need to come down, break down the door. You're over your plant count. People go to jail. I'm not none of that crap.
Yeah.
But there should absolutely be a way
It
that
is a legitimate business, though. The CBD industry isn't legitimate.
I wasn't
whether
saying
you,
it wasn't.
Whether you're growing or processing, you can pay for those federal licenses that you can process or grow
Right. That's
or
why I
both.
don't ever see why they would cut it off from the gas stations. I'm saying as long as there's regulatory
But they are.
rules.
They're
They're going to completely.
They're gonna try,
They're going to
absolutely.
They are,
completely
they
cut
are.
it off.
Oh, well then that's
you
sad.
think so? You think it's going to be
they-
completely
it
cut
hasn't
off? or
happened
is it
yet.
gonna be
I think-
regulated?
but
They were
I
not.
think it's going to
Okay.
happen.
Yeah, I only speak on what's happened. You know what I mean?
Right.
They were not prepared for this.
I don't
They were
care
not
about
prepared
speaking
for
on
people to.
what's something that hasn't happened yet. I mean, dude, look, New York just banned fucking Delta 8 straight across the board. Like any isomer that comes from hemp,
But you don't think that's going to be challenged?
Sure, it'll get tied up in court. Yeah, absolutely it will, and I'm hoping that it gets tied up here in Michigan.
Well, that's what I'm going to, bro.
Please, someone file a lawsuit.
Oh, there will. There's guys
Delta
making
8,
plenty of money that are going to do it. Trust me.
Oh, they don't want to lose their livelihood.
Yeah, absolutely. Vape shops are making great money. These families that own vape shops are making so much good money.
I host and ask questions, and I ask the other side's question because they're not here. Because I wouldn't allow them to be here.
Are we going to answer any questions from the audience or anything? Or do we have any? Or
Do
you want to answer some?
Probably not.
We didn't even go down the talk about the brand too much. We went on
so
completely different ways.
No, but great conversation. I mean, absolutely.
Yeah, we were all.
I did ask one good question. If you guys do want one more, it says, "Why is recreational milligram limited to only 100 instead of 200?"
It's actually the dumbest thing there is, not the question, but because of this reason. So I'm limited to only buy 100 milligram, right? Okay, I'll take 2 packs.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, where does that leave us at a dispo? I mean, do we know they're buying more than they're
right?
But we're allowed to sell it to them.
That basically says that they're going to pay more money.
So the state, well, if we ever can ask the state, we'll ask them that question because none of us actually work for the state, so none of us have really an answer on why that would be put in place. We could give you opinion answers, but there's really no one here that worked on designing that rule.
Yeah,
because in other states they don't even have a milligram rule. That's like, why can each piece only be 10 milligrams? Well, what is the point of that?
Why not control someone when you can control them?
That's right. It goes back to control. Like you said, usually the propaganda and the 80s.
People,
I mean, that's the most that they can handle at one time. Because we know the state knows everything that they need to know in order to, regulate things and ensure that nobody has a major problem.
For sure.
If they had a way to regulate and make everyone put actually what's on their or in their product on their package. I mean, there's a lot of people who cheat out there.
Yeah.
And, dude,
true.
A lot of people who cheat out there.
Anything you guys wanted to tell or disclose?
No, we're just happy to collaborate with Shango. We're gonna
be on the lookout for the drop. Coming to Shango. Hopefully,
thanks
30
for
days.
us, man.
Always, man. Great chat. Anything you wanted to add?
No, I'm good, man.
Perfect. Thank you for having us. Big shouts out to Hyman Freud's getting me smoke, High Tech, all the homies. Big shouts out to the big drops these guys got coming. Hyla for coming out. Blaze for always having me. Fuego for always giving me good shit. Bunch of new drops. Check it out. Yeah.
Sure.